Well, hello and welcome to the next session in our master series about dual credit in Kentucky. My name is Robin Hebert, and I will be your host and moderator for today's session, which is all about engaging students, parents, and the community in dual credit programs. We're joined today by an amazing group of dual credit pros. They include Susie Burkhart from Shelby County Public Schools, Jenny Sawyer from the University of Louisville, and Sarah Jones, who works with the Gear Up program in Robertson County. At the end of our session, Trinity will also join us for our dual credit data moment and today's challenge. Now, to make sure that we're helping you as best we can, we will have our question and answer box available, and feel free to drop any questions or experiences there. We probably won't be able to answer any of your questions during the quick 30-minute session, but we will post a question and answer document after today's webinar, and it'll have all the resources that are mentioned, and that will be on CPE's website. So let's dive into our engaging partners in dual credit. I know our guests will inspire and activate your thinking about how you can amp up engagement in your dual credit programs. So first, I'd like to welcome Susie Burkhart into the room. Susie is the College and Career Coordinator for Shelby County Public Schools. She was also the 2007 Kentucky Teacher of the Year, and she has climbed 5 14ers or 14,000 plus foot elevation mountains. So she is no stranger to challenges. I'm sure she'll talk about that a little bit later on. So welcome, Susie, and tell us a little bit about your work there in Shelby County.
Great. Thanks, Robin. I am the College and Career Coordinator here in Shelby County. I oversee just our dual credit program. That's a big part of my job, as well as helping students make post-secondary plans, whether that be college or career. So I love my work and enjoy being a very student-facing role.
Yeah. Susie, I know that a lot of your work has to do with supporting equitable access to dual credit through outreach and funding, and even a district-wide strategy. Can you talk a little bit about how Shelby County has tackled these challenges?
Yes, we are really proud of making dual credit available to many students and finding ways to make it happen for those students and removing barriers for post-secondary work for our students in high school. So our district decided, our Board of Education has been super generous in supporting dual credit tuition, as well as digital content and book fees for students. So what we have done now, where we currently are with the new KIA scholarships being 4 per student, the dual credit scholarships 2 junior year, 2 senior year, our district supports 4 additional scholarships for students for dual credit work. And that's in addition to the Work Ready. So our students have the ability to earn 24 credit hours during high school for free. We do have some things set up to help us with our billing and our budgeting, where if students take more than 2 per semester, that third class is always, the tuition is always goes to family, what we call family pay. And that's so that, if we have a senior that hasn't taken any dual credit, they can't, we don't pay for all of that. So it's always a maximum of 2 per semester paid for by the district or KIA. And then for our students who qualify for free and reduced lunch, we do cover their books and digital content that is billed to district. And then students who do not qualify for free and reduced lunch, the families are billed for their digital content and their books. So that's something that has really made the access to dual credit great for kids. When several years ago, when I first started, kids would say, well, I want to do it, but I can't afford the books. And so we really wanted to make sure that students had those opportunities regardless of family income.
Yeah. I love how your district seems to have a district-wide strategy. It's not just you, working on this.
Right.
They got a lot of support within the district. That's good. So let's talk a little bit about if you're pulling students in, you have to communicate really well with them and their families about dual credit opportunities and information. What are some of your best strategies for communicating and at the beginning and continuing to communicate with them as they go through the program?
I will say one of my best strategies as college and career coordinators to really partner with our guidance counselors at our high schools. So I work at both of our high schools. I split my days. And so I see myself as a partner to those guidance counselors. And so a lot of times they are sharing the information. And so taking some of that work off their plate, but also sharing with them the excitement about post-secondary opportunities, broadening our scope of who we think can be successful in that. That's part of my work with our counselors. So That work also, I send out a letter every semester prior to enrollment to all students who qualify, and I mail it to their home. And that way I know that it gets home. Anybody who works with high school students knows that's probably the best way. I also use Blackboard Messenger through, I don't know if everybody uses Blackboard Messenger in Kentucky, but I'm able to email all juniors and all junior parents. And so I can send out to the students, but also to the parents, information about dual credit. What are the qualifiers for participation? And then if I know their student meets those qualifiers, I will send that letter home as well. So they get, and that letter usually also invites them to a parent information night or a student information night. I really let students know if your parents aren't into it and aren't part of that support for you, that's fine. Come and learn yourself. And one of my big goals for my job is to teach, I call it driving your own bus. So I tell our dual credit students, my goal for them when they graduate is when they go to their college orientation meeting at a university, that when they sit down to schedule their classes, they can speak to what they've done, what they have on their transcript, and understand how that transfers. So that can begin with being the person that comes to that orientation meeting to learn about dual credit. If it isn't your parent, it can be you.
Yeah, I know that you really make keeping students at the center of your efforts a high priority. And I guess that's one way that you do that. You mentioned earlier an ongoing seminar. So can you talk a little bit about what that is and how it helps your students?
Yeah, so we have students taking dual credit. Both our primary partner is Jefferson, and that is a big community outreach for us. We have a campus here in Shelby County called Shelby County JCTC. And so we partner with them pretty exclusively for our dual credit because we want to raise up that campus in our community. The seminars develop mainly because some kids are going on campus for classes, but one of our high schools requires a bus trip over there. So many of the students are taking more online courses. We are bringing some professors in starting next semester to teach some classes at that high school. But so the seminars started in that students, some of them were online and some of them were acting kind of very independently. And so I realized in working with students that many of the struggles with dual credit really didn't have to do with the content of the course. For most part, it was just managing what I call those executive functioning skills, prioritizing, making a calendar of what is due for the semester, understanding long-term projects versus short-term due dates. And so I developed an idea to have seminars. And so we have a seminar at the beginning of every semester. We have one at midterm, and we have one about 2 weeks before the semester ends. And another thing that we do at those seminars is check grades, and the kids know that. And so if you're on an online class, there might not be anyone checking your grade. And we show parents how to check grades, and say it's okay to sit down with your student once a week. Set up an appointment with your child to have them open their Blackboard and check their grades. But that doesn't always happen. And so I want to know if someone's struggling, and I want to know before I get the grade, from the college. And so at the seminars, we do grade checks. We talk about executive functioning skills, like how to email a professor appropriately, how to address a situation that you're having in a diplomatic way, and how to get what you need. The first thing we say is you don't start an email with, "Hey," because they do. And they're 16 years old, 18 years old. So just learning some of those nuances to being a college student early. And you're not born with that. You don't know how to do that. And many of our first generation college students may not have someone at home that has experienced that before. So our seminars are great opportunities to teach our kids about how to be a college student, how to navigate that process, how to advocate for themselves, how to pay their bill online, all of those things.
Yeah.
And so they've been really great. They are required. So students know that if they're going to remain in dual credit, that they are required to come to those seminars.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Suzanne. I know that people who are listening would love to see some of these resources related to your seminars. And also, I know you mentioned a checklist. We don't have time to talk about that right now, but I know that they would love to see some of the things that you have created, some of the supports for students. So thank you so much for sharing about the work there in Shelby County. I'm going to move on now. I hate to end this conversation. We could talk for a while, but I'm going to move on now to welcome Jenny Sawyer into the room. Jenny is from U of L, and she is our resident women's basketball enthusiast, and really happy to have her here today. So welcome, Jenny. I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about dual credit there at the University of Louisville and how your post-secondary institution is supporting equitable access to dual credit.
Thank you, Robin. So we're very proud of the progress our dual credit program has made, particularly in the last 4 to 5 years. We've grown from about 250 students to this fall. We had 1,770 students enrolled in our school, in our programs. We partner with 17 different school districts, and that touches the lives of students at 32 public and private schools.
Wow.
So we have grown that in several ways. One is just by growth of our math and our English. So our office actually supports a full-time math instructor, faculty member, and a full-time English faculty member who coordinates those courses, so that we feel confident that the coursework that we're delivering in those key, general education core subjects are really the same experience that a student would have if they were here on our University of Louisville campus. We also have developed partnerships with our College of Business, our College of Education, and now our public health school for the first time this fall. And so those colleges work directly with the high schools, with their partner high schools, to deliver dual credit pathways for students that are interested in business, particularly we're very proud of our teacher learner pathways to try and encourage more and more students to become teachers and to address the teacher shortage in the state of Kentucky. We also have, we bring all of our dual credit students. We offer that opportunity for them to come on campus for a day to get a University of Louisville student ID. And we obviously, we want these students not just to be able to enter school anywhere with some credits under their belt and that feeling of confidence that they can do college level work and go on to college. But also we would love for them to come to the University of Louisville. Megan Adams in our office coordinates all of this with multiple contacts across multiple academic units. About 2 years ago, we began to more intentionally address the fact that our numbers of underrepresented minority students in our dual credit programs was lower than we would have liked. And so we began to intentionally reach out to some schools that we knew had larger URM populations and to offer some courses that we thought would be of more interest to URM populations. And so this past fall, 31.3% of our students enrolled in the University of Louisville dual credit program came from the state's defined URM population. So we're very, very proud of that.
Yeah, as you should be. You're making me go down memory lane. I remember when I got my very first U of L student ID, and it was a big day for me. It did make me feel like I belonged, and I think that's a great idea to have your dual credit students have their own ID. Thank you for all that, Jenny. You have talked a little bit about incentivizing dual credit among your students. Can you talk a little bit more about how U of L incentivizes dual credit work?
So thank you for asking me that question, because I forgot one very key thing. This fall, we actually rolled out a scholarship commitment to any of our dual credit students. So any student who takes a dual credit course at the University of Louisville at any point in time in their 4 years in high school will be guaranteed at least $1,000 in merit-based scholarship aid as a recognition of the fact that they took a dual credit course with the University of Louisville. So just last week, we awarded $159,000 in scholarships to some of our entering students. And those are renewable scholarships. So it's actually $4,000 in helping them with their academic career. So we're very proud of that. And of course, quite selfishly, we did that because we want more and more of our dual credit students to apply to the University of Louisville and think about doing their 4-year degree with us.
Yeah, absolutely. One more question for you, Jenny. You have created a dual credit landing page at U of L to help people find out information and just navigate the whole system. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so, we've worked really hard to facilitate the process of becoming a dual credit student. So, the application, the understanding how you get registered, understanding how you access the systems that even if you're doing an in-person class, either at your school or on our campus, you're going to use our technology. So you're going to know how to navigate Blackboard. You're going to have to know how to navigate ULink, our student portal. So we've created some modules for students. And so our dual credit students, as soon as they get admitted, have access to those modules and can go through and learn in a very targeted way just toward dual credit. We've created a separate application just for dual credit students because there's a lot of things on our main application that dual credit students don't really need to answer those questions, or we don't need to know those things. So we've tried to make the process as simple as possible, because we want to get those students enrolled and get them going, learning their courses. And then we do a few different things for, we have a fair amount, probably about 150 dual credit students who actually come on the University of Louisville campus to take their classes. In fact, we have students from 3 high schools that are not even on their high school campuses anymore. They're taking their dual credit courses with us and living and learning and, you know, using our student rec center, eating in our residence hall, not in our residence halls, in our dining halls. So we do additional things to help those students support. We have one high school that actually, the teacher actually puts the students on one of our city buses and they come to campus 3 days a week. And he has other U of L students taking that same class because he wants that dual credit experience to really mimic and be as close to that real college experience as possible.
Yeah. Well, Jenny, congratulations on growing that dual credit program to almost 2,000 students. That's really amazing. And congratulations to you and to U of L for that. All right. Again, I'm going to have to push forward here, and we're going to invite Sarah Jones now into the conversation. Sarah is finishing up a master's degree in school counseling in May. So go, Sarah. Congratulations on that. Really happy for you. Sarah is the Gear Up representative for Robertson County. So can you tell us, Sarah, just a little bit about Gear Up and your role there?
Yeah, absolutely. So Gear Up Kentucky is a federal grant through the CPE, so the Kentucky Council on Post-Secondary Education. And we provide transition services to students in 12 districts within Kentucky, so Robertson being one of those 12. We're currently on our 5th year of our 4th grant, and our vision at Gear Up Kentucky is that every student is just prepared for post-secondary success. So we do that to increase the number of students in low-income Kentucky communities who are ready to successfully transition to and through post-secondary education. So we provide those services and support to not only the students, but also in their families, the institutions, and the communities. So here at Robertson, so it's the smallest, I don't know if anybody knows much about Robertson County because we're so rural and we're so small, but it is the smallest county here in Kentucky. We are a P-12 school where we house around 450 students total. So my graduating class this year here is 34 students. We are very, very tiny. So our students do get a lot of kind of one-on-one attention, and our student to teacher ratio is close to 25-1.
Yeah. I know that Robertson County is kind of a unique situation. And so being able to provide a lot of rigorous coursework for students, I know it has to be challenging just in terms of, you know, how many teachers you have and accessibility in that way. So can you talk a little bit about how dual credit has helped to expand options for students where, because you're such a small school, it would be hard for you to offer that?
Yeah, absolutely. So before I was in Robertson County, we offered an AP program to our students, but we found that not many of our students were utilizing or taking advantage of those opportunities. You know, just the small amount of students that we have, it's hard to get a program like that up and off the ground. So since we no longer have that program, we decided to partner with MCTC Maysville Community and Technical College to do their dual credit program. And it has greatly expanded options for our students. We are able to offer our students starting in 10th grade all the way to 12th grade to take dual credit classes. Most of them do take online. We are currently trying to get to where we have some teachers come in and do dual credit classes, but most of our students do that online class. But so with that advantage, they are getting to take the more rigorous content classes that they wouldn't obviously get here.
Yeah. Thanks for the shout out to Maysville. We had Emily Thurman on a few weeks ago, and she was talking about how she, you know, reaches out to students individually and really provides a lot of support. So wonderful that you have that partnership with them. Well, at this time, what I'd like to do is thank you, Sarah, is invite Suzanne and Jenny back into the room, and we're just going to kind of have an open conversation about a couple of other questions, and you all just feel free to hop into the conversation wherever you would like. I'm curious, you all have different roles in dual credit, but I can see a lot of enthusiasm and positivity about it. So what are some of your hopes and dreams for what we can accomplish through dual credit in our state?
Well, one with mine. So with Gear Up Kentucky, one of my things is that I am the statewide family coordinator for Gear Up Kentucky. I'm the student and family transition specialist here. So one thing that I like to do is get families involved. I think the family buy-in is one of the most important things with student success. We have numbers that show that. And so one thing that we do here at Robertson is we like to try to have a family orientation around dual credit night. We let those families know what dual credit is, how their students are going to benefit from that. And we also pull in Maysville and let them come and talk to those families as well.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah.
I find in Shelby County, one of our goals, oftentimes, when parents initially get engaged with their student in dual credit, they're like, okay, we're going to shorten college and we're going to pay less and, blah, blah. And so what we talk a lot about is the opportunities. Like dual credit is opening college up a little bit more for some of our students. And this is what we're finding from our graduates who are coming back and telling us, giving us feedback in that many of them are able to double major, be an engineering major with 2 minors or be able to study abroad more readily. And so what we're saying to many of our families is it won't necessarily shorten college. And that may not be the goal or the purpose for most students, but it will open up your college experience and allow you to delve in deeply into some other topics of interest.
Yeah, thanks, Susie.
Yeah, I want to just reinforce what Suzanne said. We see that so often that students at first are really very much concerned about like what, how that's going to shorten or how, and really it does open up opportunities. It gives students some flexibility. It gives them the confidence. So in addition to the students we teach dual credit, 60% of our students who come to us now have some type of dual credit work. So, one of my hopes and dreams for dual credit is that all the institutional partners can become better at having really transparent information out there for students about how their coursework is going to apply toward degrees, how their transfer work is going to help them move along in their degree program and be able to graduate in four years, and have that little bit of a safety net. So if life does happen and they have to drop a class or take some time off because of a family illness or the need to work more or go part-time one semester in order to be able to work more to afford college, that the dual credit they've earned while in high school can still help them graduate in a reasonable period at a reasonable cost.
Yeah. Thank you, Jenny.
I will say we offer courses called Accelerate to College through JCTC, which has really been transformational for some students. So these are courses that offer the 0 level course to a student who may not be at the college benchmark yet. And we offer those in English for our juniors. And in senior year, we offer it per semester for math. So if students are close to their benchmark, they enroll in the prep course. I call it a prep course. They call it remedial. The kids call it remedial. I'm like, it's not remediation, it's preparation. And then they are able to take that credit bearing course toward their degree before they leave in either English or math. And so what I have found kind of achieving that dream of helping kids realize I am college material, I can do the work. And sometimes they may be students who aren't just knocking tests out of the park, but they are hardworking students and they have that dream to go to college and it shows them like I can do it. So those A2C programs have been great for us to realize that dream.
Yeah, Suzanne, thank you for bringing that up. We're going to definitely share the link to that on CPE's website to the A2C program at JCTC so that other people can see a little bit more about what you're talking about. We're really short on time, but I did want to give you all just one last opportunity to tell us a few dual credit success stories. Just tell us about some of the best student outcomes or any bright spots in your work in dual credit that have to do with students.
One of my favorite dual credit stories is 2 young men, twins, who came from Cuba as refugees to the city of Louisville, enrolled at one of our local high schools, and very quickly learned that really the resources at their high school were not going to prepare them for their life stream, and that was to be engineers. And so the school actually allowed those students to spend a time with us. It was before the dual credit scholarship. So we were able to find the funds to help those students take courses. And by the time they graduated from high school, they were ready to enter our engineering school and immediately be immersed in the engineering curriculum. Both of them graduated on time. One of them is working for Google, the other one is working for Amazon, but they graduated with honors, and that dual credit experience and the fact that, you know, we're in a position to partner with our schools and really help our schools meet students where they are, and to be able to progress in their education and to be able to do that at a reasonable cost.
Awesome. Those kind of stories keep us going. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jen.
I mean, I would just say I have multiple students that come back and again, it's that double major opportunity. Many of them are very interested in something maybe in engineering or science that takes up a lot of credit time, but are able to double major in a foreign language, which I know when they get in the workplace is going to be so valuable. But it's sort of like what I see that's exciting is some kids are able to do those whole brain experiences where they're using that left and right side in two different majors. And I'm like, wow, we're developing some really good brains. So that gets me excited. The kids are able to take those passions that they have and not really, you know, we all have to choose sometimes, but it's nice sometimes when we don't have to choose and we can have it all.
Absolutely. Thanks, Susie.
So I haven't been in the dual credit world long, but I think one of my biggest successes was seeing students, you know, we're so small that just getting them to expand those opportunities and be able to take those college classes and see that they are college material is probably one of mine.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. You know, I hear so many people who are involved with dual credit talk about just that student worthiness and really feeling like you are college material and you can do the work, that is such a hurdle for some students and a real win for dual credit. So thank you all so much for sharing that. Well, thank you all so much for being with us today and sharing your expertise. I know that people who are on with us would love to just continue to talk, but we can't do that today. But thank you so much for being here with us. And I'm going to now ask Trinity to come in and take us home with our data challenge for today.
Thanks, Robin, and thank you to all of our amazing guests. Their intentionality and focus on student success is very evident here. There's a lot of ways that we can envision our dual credit program at your high school, but it's also at the post-secondary level. So consider that as we're talking about this. As you consider students statewide, think about your current engagement and strategies and how they're affecting dual credit enrollment success. Jenny mentioned some statistics, you know, with their URM students at Louisville. How effective are your communication strategies with your students and families, and are all of your students aware that dual credit programming is an option? We live in a world that has information overload, and that is a reality, but I would encourage you not to use that as an excuse to get the information out on as many platforms as possible. And this is for secondary and post-secondary folks. Use school newsletters, social media, emails, paper flyers, websites, whatever you've got access to. Additionally, this is one area that I don't think we always consider enough, but are we communicating early enough with our students? Maybe the post-secondary people who are in charge of dual credit need to start having more robust and intentional conversations with middle school people. And can we let 7th and 8th graders know what their future holds in terms of dual credit enrollment? Sometimes that will drive their whole high school planning schedule. I'm a big believer in collaboration, so I'd encourage you to reach out to your partners of other schools and see what they're doing. If you don't know what people at other institutions are doing, check out their websites. I know I've gotten a lot of great ideas from programming by just looking at other high school and post-secondary institution websites and what they offer. There are probably some people on this webinar that have gotten cold emails from me before asking about their programs or policies because I saw it on their websites and I just wanted to know more. So do you have an idea what works for you as a secondary or post-secondary partner that you'd be willing to share? If you think you've got a great idea, shoot us an email or put your email address in the chat in the Q&A, and we'll reach out to you to discuss some of your ideas. And hopefully we can feature you in the future. When you're looking at your data, you're going to have to look at what the trends are. So on the screen, this is the statewide data trend from the past school year. And does your data of your school look like the state? Start with your general demographic information, and you can get that from your Kentucky School Report Card website when you identify your particular school or district. Then, using the tools that we showed you in the first webinar, find the dual credit participation for your school or district. These specific steps will again be shared on the resources page on our CPE webinar webpage. Once you determine the percentages of these populations of your dual credit students, do they mirror your whole student population? If not, why not? How do you modify those numbers? Consider how you're engaging these populations of students and their families. Do you need to do some targeted interventions to grow certain populations of dual credit? High school partners, how are you advising students when it comes to enrolling in dual credit? Are they being advised with a course path in mind? Are they being advised on courses that they might be interested in, but aren't sure if they want to major in this? Are you creating programs that not only give students college credit, but also prepare them for college and college courses, like Suzanne mentioned at Shelby County? And just like Suzanne and Jenny mentioned, do we consider when advising students when they take dual credit, while they may not get out early from an institution, they may have the opportunity to double major and increase their marketability in the future? I know that I've heard from students that they don't want to take a dual credit or even an AP course because their college won't take it, or it won't help them with their major, or they're still going to have to be there the same amount of time. And I always encourage them to consider how these might transfer and how they might enhance their college experience. Additionally, while most of my talking points have been about advising students in choosing courses, we also need to make sure we're doing a good job of engaging students and families when they're actually participating in the dual credit courses, all the way down to making sure their future post-secondary institution receives the transcript of the earned credits. The number of students who just think that high school will take care of it, or whatever's on their high school transcript will be enough, is pretty high. So are our partners, are we communicating with them effectively about just rudimentary processes? What kind of information sessions are being held at your high school? Who's involved in presenting? Are you engaging the post-secondary partners in helping with these presentations? I know that in my high school, I always try to find ways that my post-secondary partners could speak to families too. And if you are a post-secondary partner here, what strategies are you using beyond the high school dual credit coordinator? And how transparent are you about the transferability and the process, just like Jenny mentioned earlier? Lastly, many post-secondary institutions are using branding or social media and dual credit specific websites to promote their programming. This just doesn't have to be at the post-secondary level either. I would encourage high schools to brand their dual credit programming too, and make it easy for folks to understand the process and who you are. Lastly, I want to mention communication with your greater community. How are you showcasing dual credit and its benefits to your community members? In a future webinar, we're going to talk to a high school dual credit teacher who's using social media and other internet-based platforms to showcase her programming and get community members involved with time and financing. Take the time to hype your programs and how this can positively impact your economic community. Just like I mentioned before, ease of finding dual credit information for your school online and branding can assist you with this. With this type of advertising, you may be able to get community investment in helping with financing of materials, books, or even tuition. Thoughtful research and intentional communication and collaboration is the key to student success with dual credit programming. If we're all working towards the same goal and engaging all parties involved, not only will we grow Kentucky's dual credit programming, but we will also grow our community economy and our students' futures.
Okay. Thank you so much, Trinity, for taking us home with that information. And I just have a couple of reminders for you all before we leave today. First of all, I want to just say a big thank you for joining us today, and another big thanks to our guests. And a few quick reminders. If you have not done so, please fill out the form linked here if you're interested in participating in our dual credit community of practice. We will be reaching out this week to the folks who have signed up, and we're really grateful. We're up to about 30 people who have shown interest. And so we'll be reaching out this week. So please fill out the form so that we can let you know what the next steps are and really give some more details about the dual credit community of practice that is coming soon. Our next webinar in the series is scheduled for April 20th. It's a little bit longer because of the spring break week. And so we'll be focusing on the revision of Kentucky's dual credit policy and to roll out an exciting new resource, which is the Early Post-Secondary Opportunity Toolkit. It's been in development for quite some time. Of course, all of this is pending the CPE Board's adoption of the updated policy during its March meeting, which is happening today and tomorrow at EKU in Richmond. Lastly, we do invite you to connect with us on social media. The contacts for today's guests are on the screen, as well as Trinity's and my Twitter handles. I know that you'll want to connect with our guests today because they do put out information and examples that I think everybody could benefit from. We do sincerely appreciate the participation and enthusiasm you've shown for dual credit in Kentucky and for this webinar series. So until next time, I hope you all enjoy some sunshine today that we've been waiting for a long time. We'll see you on April 20th.